I'm not gonna lie, you already definitely know way more about beer than we do.
That's very true.
Welcome back to Short Pour. We're your hosts. I'm Chris.
And I'm Brandon.
And we actually have a couple of firsts this week on Short Pour. First up, we actually guested for the first time on another podcast. We went on Boah, a King of the Hill podcast.
Dude, you do that sound so much better than I do. That's why I couldn't intro it.
So you can go check us out on there and hear us over there on their podcast. We talked about some King of the Hill episodes, our favorites, and then we also ended up kind of going into like a little like food tour around our KC like favorite places to eat.
Yeah. It actually ended up being a lot about food, but
yeah, like pretty much just food. But today we actually have our first guest, and today we have Shea from the podcast Rainy Day Rabbit Holes. Hey, Shea.
Hey.
Could you tell us a bit about your podcast and kind of what you're doing?
Absolutely. Hey, I'm Shea. I am one half of Rainy Day Rabbit Holes History Unhinged with my pod wife, as I call her, Jody. She's kind of like a work wife, but podcast. Does that make sense?
I gotcha, yeah.
So we get into the weirder, wackier, and more unhinged tales from Western history. So we're talking the west side of North America. We have focused on Pacific Northwest a lot because that's where we're from. But we recently opened up to talk more about just history of the West because there's just like way too many Wild West tales that are too juicy to ignore. So we love to laugh. We get into just whatever we can find that's weird and bizarre, especially if it's something we can make fun of. And we have a great time. So it's educational and entertaining, and we make a lot of bad puns and dad jokes while we do it.
Okay.
Oh, wow. You'll fit right in perfectly with what we're doing.
What's one of your favorite like weirdest facts from like a recent episode that you can recall?
Oh man, I mean that's like trying to choose a favorite child. So one that is coming up, depending on when this episode releases, is one I just did on the red ghost of Arizona.
Okay.
Oh.
I don't want to give anything else away because the truth behind it is actually also very interesting. And I'm famously the giant skeptic in the room. I'm always like, yeah, there's definitely got to be an explanation for that. Jody likes to joke that I like to ruin everything.
Okay.
I'm one of those, well, actually,
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
people. So that one's really good. And then, the Sourdough Cocktail Club. Are you guys familiar with that?
Did you say sourdough or sour toe?
Sourdough.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
Okay, so up in the Yukon in Canada, there is this bar where for the last, since the 1970s, you can go there and you can have your favorite drink poured with a mummified human toe in it.
Oh.
Why?
And if you drink it,
Why?
so it's this guy, the legend is this guy found this jar of whiskey that had a couple of human toes in it in a cabin he was cleaning out. And the story is that there was a couple of bootleggers in the late 1800s or early 1900s, and they used to like to do their runs in snowstorms because it made it harder for the authorities to see them. Yeah. But one of them stepped into a puddle that was iced over, and his boot got soaking wet, and by the time he got back to the cabin, his toes were frozen solid. So they decided to chop his toes off so that he wouldn't get gangrene, and they put them in a jar of whiskey.
Oh.
So fast forward to the 1970s, this guy finds them and he goes out to his local bar at the Sourdough Saloon in Yukon, in Canada. And he's getting drunk with these reporters. And after what they said, the 10th round of beer or so, they come up with this idea of a sour toe cocktail. And so if you go in for an extra $5, they will drop this toe in your drink. And if you let the toe hit your lips, then you get a certificate and you become
Oh
of
my
the Sour Toe
gosh.
Cocktail Club.
Oh no.
Where are they sourcing these toes from?
That's the other thing, right? The original toes got very disgusting and
Naturally,
soggy
Yeah, I can imagine.
and started to disintegrate. So they would dry them out in salt, like in between, and then plop them back in a jar of whiskey. So people just started donating their toes when their toes would get amputated for whatever reason, like lawnmower accident or frostbite or diabetes. And so people just started doing that. And occasionally people have swallowed it.
Oh.
Some by accident and some on purpose.
No.
So there's a $2,500 fine if you swallow the toe.
Oh my God. It's like a double whammy. Not only did you swallow it, you also a financial punishment.
Can you imagine? And I was like, do the bones come out the other end? Like, could you see them in the toilet?
Right.
Oh.
Or do they like, I wouldn't think that bones would get totally digested, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't think
so
so. Yeah, no, that is that's pretty extreme.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That is a good one.
That is a good one. Yeah,
You should have led with that. But today, you actually picked out this beer, and it is the Batsquatch from Rogue Ales, based in Oregon. It is a hazy IPA. It is 6.7% ABV. And on the can itself, they say, rumor has it that Batsquatch lives deep within the woods of Mount St. Helens. This tale's details are hazy, making the truth such a juicy mystery. And they even include the light flavor profile of this. It is very tropical, a good bit citrusy. They have a little bit of malt, little bit of bitter, and then they also say pine as a as a flavor that's in there.
I don't think I get a lot of pine. Maybe like a touch of bitterness, but I think the tropical juicy hops come forward more. And it's cloudy for sure.
Oh
yes, yeah. No, I definitely get the tropical and citrusy part for sure. Yeah, you're right on the. If they didn't say anything about pine, that would have never come to my mind at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a little bit of like I don't know how to explain it, like a dustiness. So maybe like a barkiness or an earthiness on the backside of it a little bit. Yeah. Just like underneath all the like tropical fruit flavors, there's like something that's a little bit more earthy. Mm-hmm. But also it may have been whatever I ate today.
Ate a lot of pine today.
I'm interested to know how hard it was for you guys to find this beer. I know they distribute in all 50 states, but was it pretty easy to pick up?
It was actually easy. It was the first store I went to. I also went to the same Total Wine, whatever, but that was where I went. They had a few of them.
Awesome.
So easy enough for us. We skipped one question, actually.
Oh, yeah.
With this being... we had a guest on one time, and those recordings got lost, so we never got to do it. But so far, we have always asked all of our guests, what was your first beer?
My first beer, man. Oh, Jesus. I'm 46 years old. I don't know if I can answer that one. Well, the first one I can think of that I remember is an Amstel Light.
Oh.
I didn't like beer when I was in my 20s. And when we moved up to Washington from California, there's a lot more craft beer up here, which in California at the time there was like nothing, right? So Sierra Nevada was as exotic as it got. So we decided to start looking into some craft beers, and we discovered Fat Tire. Belgium. And we were like, whoa, this has so much flavor.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like the introduction to craft beer. And later on, now I'm kind of like, ugh, not my favorite. But then, I went through the whole like new to beer girly thing of like, I want the fruit beers and, give me that blueberry Hefeweizen.
Yeah, I'm still in that phase for myself.
Yeah.
Hey, don't get me wrong. I love a good fruited beer once in a while, but I hated IPAs. I was like, ugh, gross. That's like eating grass. And then my husband brought home a bottle of Avery's Maharaja, which is an Imperial IPA. And the alcohol comes forward so strongly as sweetness and maltiness that it really kind of damps down the bitterness of the hops. Like, it's just really, really well balanced. And I was like, oh my God, what is this delicious nectar of the gods? And that was my introduction into IPAs. And so
nice.
I still like to go for those big Imperial double, triple IPAs.
Oh yeah. I've never had that, but I'm not super into IPAs for the most part. Mostly, I don't know. I feel like I started with some like kind of rough ones, but I'm learning to adjust.
Would somebody put a green flash in front of you and be like, drink this?
I always thought it was like a requirement to like IPAs to live in the Northwest.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and then it turned into like sours were the big popular thing. And I cannot stomach a sour. We were at the Great American Beer Festival in Denver one year. And, I don't know if you guys have ever been to that beer festival.
Mm-mm.
No, we haven't.
It's insane. You get 4 minutes. You get 4 hours to drink as much as you possibly can in this tiny little tasting glass.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going around and it's probably hour 3. So I'm sure we're fairly toasted. And we started to like divide and conquer. So he'd go stand in line at one booth and I'd go stand in line at the other, and we'd meet up and we just kind of like swap our tastes. And he hands me this beer and he's like, oh my God, you have to try this. And I just drink it. And it was a dill pickle sour.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I can't do that.
It tasted like somebody ate a dill pickle and then threw it up back into the glass and then put some beer on top of it. So that was the end of sours for me forever, because every time I smell a sour, that memory
goes back to that
burbling back up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I understand. I wouldn't have responded well to that.
No.
Yeah, that's we actually have gone to KC Brewfest the last 2 years, and we have also had that like experience of like the first time we were like, they're tiny little glasses. It's just little bitty things of beer all
right.
And yeah, you go through quite a bit
Yes.
those things.
Yeah, and especially like I'm not a let's go try all the lagers and pilsners type of gal. I'm like, that booth has a 16% stout. Let's go try.
Yeah, you're going heavy.
So, you have enough like even 1 ounce pours of that. Like we would have to tell them like, no, literally 1 ounce. Like, do not give me more than that, because I have 4 hours of this to do. And I want to remember some of the beers I drank.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we had my brother-in-law come with us, and it was his first time. And we told him, we were like, hey, like, just make sure like you kind of pace yourself.
Yeah.
Towards the end, like, don't push it too much, because like you're gonna get more messed up than you think. And he pushed it. And
oh no.
Stay in the line. We're like walking out the door, and he was like, well, we might as well like stand at every line on our way out, try to get a little bit more. And so he did. And then the next day, my sister-in-law was complaining about how he ended up like, they had like friends come over, and he ended up like throwing up and then just going and laying down the rest of the night.
Oh no.
So he had to clean up the
game night
that he threw up in, and then like solo host game night.
Oh no. That's terrible. Yeah, it's a marathon, not a sprint. My husband always has to remind me of that, because I get so excited. I'm like, oh, all the beers, yeah.
Well, also you get sucked into that whole thing of like, well, the lines are short right now. We might as well try a whole bunch at the beginning,
Right.
Yep.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So in theme of the Batsquatch beer, today I believe you are presenting us the myth, true story of the Batsquatch.
Depends on who you ask, I guess.
We're going to find out.
Okay, well, but before we get into the batshit craziness that is Batsquatch, see what I did there? Let's talk about Rogue Brewing just real quick, because I think you guys will appreciate this. So they're based in Newport, Oregon, and they're probably best known for Dead Guy Ale. That's a delicious.
This time they put the whole dead guy in the beer for you.
Yeah,
Right.
not just a toe.
But one beer that they are really well known for is their beard beer. Have you heard of the beard beer?
I haven't.
What are you guys doing out there?
In 2012, they released a beer made with wild yeast that they cultured from the head brewer's beard.
Oh.
And at first, media covered it as a April Fool's joke because they released it on April 1st, but they had to contact the media and be like, "No, this is real. We actually made a beer with." Yeah, so that's the type of brewery that Rogue is. They're pretty snarky. They're hilarious. They're great, and I mean they just make damn good beer. They also make a hazelnut brown that if you get a hold of that, it's delicious. That's a good one for people who don't like beer, because it's kind of sweet and malty, and then they make spirits too.
Oh, okay.
They make a dead guy whiskey that's just fantastic. They make rum, and I think they make gin too. And they of course make like a hazelnut liqueur. So good, yeah. Okay, so let's get into the legend of Batsquatch.
All right.
A cryptid so strange, so Pacific Northwest, that he makes Bigfoot look like your friendly neighborhood bud tender. Do you guys know what I'm talking about with a bud tender?
Oh, yeah.
Where's Kansas City on the legalized cannabis?
It is legal here.
Oh, we're good.
Okay. Well, for those of your listeners out there that don't know, in these dispensaries, these pot shops, the people behind the counter, they call bud tenders, like bartenders.
Okay, yeah.
Anyways. So, and also I have a strong suspicion that weed may have played a big part in this legend story.
Fair enough.
Happenings. Okay, so in 1980, Mount St. Helens in Washington state erupted, triggering the most destructive volcanic event in U.S. history. 57 people were killed, 200 homes, 47 bridges, 15 miles of railway, and 185 miles of highway were destroyed.
Jeez.
It blew 1,300 feet off of the top of the mountain and left a mile-wide crater.
Oh.
So it's kind of a big deal. Now, amid the ash and chaos, stories began to surface about something flying through the smoky skies. Something big. Something terrifying. You can do a bump, bump, bump. Jody always does that for me.
Law and Order SVU. Bum, bum,
Bum, bum.
bum, bum, bum. It's a very different episode.
But the legend didn't gain traction until a foggy April evening in 1994, when a teenager named Brian Canfield had a real close encounter of the what the fuck kind. Oh, can I swear on this podcast?
Oh, yes,
Oh, yes.
definitely.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Fuck yeah.
We're on the radio, so we've cleaned up our act a lot, so it's very weird for me to say swear words.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So Brian was driving his pickup through the back roads of Buckley, Washington, when suddenly his truck just died, just stopped cold. And then out of the darkness, it descended. Brian described it as 9 feet tall, with blue-tinged fur, yellow eyes, and a wolf-like face, and enormous bat wings that spanned the width of the road. The creature just stared at him, wings outstretched, silent. Then, as mysteriously as it arrived, it launched into the air and disappeared. And that's when Brian's truck miraculously started up again. Like it does. Now, Brian claims that he was stone cold sober. Brian calmly gave his statement to a local reporter and stuck to his story, never once trying to profit from it. And that's when Batsquatch took off, pun literally intended, as a PNW cryptid icon. But I'm going to throw a little cold water on this story because, like I said, my superpower is ruining everything. So I was also a teenager in 1994, and I lived in the town right next door to Buckley in Enumclaw. And I find it very hard to believe that this kid wasn't coming back from smoking weed in a barn or somebody's basement. He was probably on back roads so that he wouldn't get tagged by the cops. And of course, he wouldn't tell anybody that he was high as a kite. His mom would have killed him.
I was going
Right?
to say,
Yeah.
like, you're going to go tell a reporter, like, no, I was super high, but I swear I saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah. After he gave the
I
interview,
mean-
he also asked the reporter if he could buy him like a cheeseburger.
Right. He's like, do you have any Cheetos in there? So, I mean, he was Gen X. So, as Gen Xers, like our parents didn't care where we were until it was curfew. And then if you were a minute late, then you were grounded for 3 years and you got your door taken off of your bedroom. So he probably made this story up to explain to his mom why he got home past curfew.
Mm-hmm.
And he later claimed that he didn't want to talk about the incident anymore. And I suspect it's because he doesn't want to have to keep up the story.
Yes.
And also, Mount St. Helens is almost 70 miles south of Buckley. And I thought Batsquatch hung out like around the volcano, but I digress.
Well, hey, you got them big old wings. That trip.
Yeah. I say,
Yeah,
I also,
and
I love the effect it has on internal combustion engines that it just stops the truck.
Yeah.
And then when it leaves, it's all,
Right.
everything's cool.
not quite sure how that happens. I mean, could an animal have such strong flatulence that it could somehow disrupt an internal combustion engine? I don't know, but I thought that was like kind of a closed system.
Yeah, I don't.
And it got rid of all the oxygen in the air. No more combustion.
There you go. That was it. So since then, sightings have popped up around Mount Adams and Mount Rainier. Some hikers report glowing eyes and massive winged shadows. A Redditor once claimed the beast followed their car from the woods. Another said it buzzed their small aircraft, flapping alongside it like it had somewhere else to be. Batsquatch isn't the only cryptid around these parts. The woods around Mount St. Helens are crowded with the weird, and we can't ignore the granddaddy of terrifying P&W tales, and that's the Ape Canyon attack of 1924. Have you guys heard of this one?
No,
No.
I haven't.
Is it like
So
a
this is
big
one of
deal
the-
around you? Does everybody know this?
Yes, it's kind of the big deal Bigfoot story in the Pacific Northwest.
Okay.
Okay.
This is the one that people like point to as like, this thing happened in 1924, so Bigfoot's definitely real.
Let's take a quick break.
Hey everyone, if you're looking for another show to check out, I have a great one for you called Lexicon. If you can't tell what the show is from the name, then you probably need it more than anyone. In the show, TJ breaks down the history, origins, and even myths behind different words and phrases. Some of the ones he has already done are shit, measles, and the names of the days of the week. So for any of you that might be a word nerd or just a fan of language, I highly recommend Lexicon.
All right, so this story takes place not far from where Batsquatch is said to roam. In the summer of 1924, a group of 5 gold prospectors were camped out near Ape Canyon, a narrow gorge carved out by lava flows near the east flank of Mount St. Helens. One night, they were jolted awake by a barrage of rocks being hurled at their cabin. The men claimed they were under siege by a group of hairy, ape-like creatures, what they called mountain devils. Hence Ape Canyon. One even claimed that he shot one of the beasts and saw it fall into the canyon. Of course, the body was never found. And the group barely made it out alive. And whether it was panic, cabin fever, or truly something monstrous, it cemented the area's rep as the ultimate cryptid danger zone. Now, some say these creatures were skookums, aggressive primal cousins of Sasquatch. But honestly, when I hear this story, I can't help but wonder, how strong was the moonshine back then, boys?
Right. Well, also, I'm like, were they like digging into the like side of the mountain or like carving in to like cause like a rock slide or like something of like, you just did this to yourself, basically?
You know, that's something I've never thought of. I don't know how they were mining for gold or prospecting for gold. And I never thought about it being, maybe it was just
Yeah, like
some
they
sort of
like
rock
didn't
slide.
stabilize it some way or something.
Right. And so the rocks are just rolling down the hill and bouncing and hitting the cabin.
Right. Yeah, I would say
And
I'm
then you
very
combine
similar
that-
to you of like I'm just gonna look for like how can I actually explain this? Like what makes sense to
Yeah.
me.
I love that explanation. Actually, that's really good. That's one that we hadn't thought of. I mean, I was just I was just chalking it up to moonshine.
That's also fair.
In other news, it looks like the Jack Link's Bigfoot messing with Sasquatch commercials have come into question a little bit, because some people are claiming that is a skookum
And not a Sasquatch.
Not a Sasquatch.
You know, I honestly didn't know about skookum until I was researching this Batsquatch. So I'm going to have Jody as our resident Bigfoot researcher, which we decided that because there are no qualifications to become a cryptozoologist, that her research on this podcast does indeed mean that she's a cryptozoologist.
Yeah.
So I'll have to ask Jody as our resident cryptozoologist to look into skookum.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, looks like some people, like the classification on a initial Google search is mixed results.
So you're saying we have to look up and try to find all of the messing with Sasquatch commercials and dissect
really
them.
Analyze them.
Analyze it.
I'll let Jody know. We will definitely follow up with this. This will be a follow-up episode. There's also, not far from there's the Ape Caves, and these are actually caves with lava tubes that you can explore. And locals have long speculated that, creatures like Batsquatch and Skookum and Bigfoot use these caves as their habitat. But, like maybe they're just looking for an ice cold IPA, hold on, I'm going to do a commercial. Ice cold IPA like Rogue Batsquatch.
I would say I feel left out of I didn't know about any of these. I only knew about Bigfoot before. Yeah. I didn't know about the Batsquatch before you ever mentioned it. Is that everyone knows about that up there? It's a really commonplace thing.
It's a very localized Washington and Oregon thing.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just here. But so you guys, though, you have Mothman out closer to where you are, right? I think Mothman is more West Virginia.
Yeah, that's still West Virginia. That's still not us.
Yeah. I mean, that's at least, here's because of my geography. My understanding of geography, everything that's east of the Rockies is all one place.
It's all same.
Until you get actually to the coast. It's Rockies, everything else, East Coast.
Yeah, I would say, to be fair, most people just say that we're just somewhere in the middle. It's about where we are.
There you go. Well, you're closer to where the Mothman is than I am. So how about that?
Yes.
So you can claim it as your own.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know of any legends like that around us. Do you know of any?
Let's see. Okay, apparently we have Momo, the Missouri Monster.
Oh,
that's so cute.
I have heard of that.
Sounds like a Sesame Street character.
Okay, I have to look this up.
I have heard of that.
Momo. Hold on.
It's a big hairy thing, right?
Yeah. Okay. This is our Bigfoot, apparently described as a tall, dark, hairy, ape-like creature similar to Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Okay.
We also apparently have the Ozark Howler, a large black dog-like creature that howls.
Oh, I like that.
Okay.
And we have the Bee-Man monster.
The Bee-Man.
He's exactly like Momo, but he has red hair.
Okay.
You guys, there's a movie about Momo.
Really?
From 2019. Momo the Missouri Monster. Now you guys are going to have to try to find where you can watch that. I'm sure it's bad.
I'm saying.
Oh, God. Just looking at these screenshots on IMDb, the monster itself, it looks like they bought one of those Amazon ghillie suits.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. Yeah, I would say I'm looking on.
Is it ghillie suit or Jilly suit?
I always said ghillie.
I think it's a ghillie suit, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I see now. Yes, yeah. Or maybe they tried to reuse the Jim Carrey Grinch costume.
Yeah, they repurposed it.
Or maybe they just went to Hobby Lobby and got a bunch of fake Spanish moss.
Yeah, some fake ivy and stuff.
Yeah. I have another fun fact for you guys. In Skamania County, where Mount St. Helens is located, it is illegal to hunt or kill Bigfoot. So they actually passed it into law back in the 1970s that if you were to kill a Bigfoot, you would face a fine and jail time.
So what about just like capturing one? Because isn't there like a whole reality TV show? Those guys trying to go catch Bigfoot.
Yeah, so how do they separate just like searching for him versus like hunting him?
Well, I think like if you actually were to like bring a dead Bigfoot body that you killed, technically you could be prosecuted for that.
So you should just drop it in some beers.
Yeah.
Just give it to Rogue and be like, make a beer out of this.
Yeah. Culture some yeast.
Yeah, so that's all I got about Batsquatch. Honestly, it's all these legends and myths and rumors, and I've had a fun time like trying to get AI to make a Batsquatch for me.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
I would say I looked up some pictures.
So the whole story though is propped up by one scared high teenager and some
allegedly high.
And some people on Reddit.
Yeah.
And people know about
basically. Yeah, but it doesn't stop some people from actually believing it because, some people just want the world to be more mysterious than it is, I think.
Yes.
I think there's already so much like amazing mysterious stuff in nature. Like every time they do another like deep sea scientific excursion, they find all these like crazy species that do weird things and have no eyeballs, and like that's mysterious enough. There's monsters down there, like literally. Yeah. Have you seen an anglerfish?
Yeah,
so,
it's crazy how
they're like super small actually.
Are they?
Yes.
So they're really scary but really tiny.
Yeah,
really small.
They're actually smaller than like what people like think.
They're like a Chinese crested dog.
Yeah,
very terrifying looking, but also very small.
Right, yeah, but you're not really actually worried about it.
I mean, it depends on what size you are.
That's true.
So,
True.
It's all relative. Yeah, I recently found out that there's like dozens of species of sharks in the Puget Sound. That's the inland sea, the body of water that, like Seattle and Tacoma are on.
Okay, yeah.
And I go paddleboarding in there and I'm like, no, I don't want this.
Yeah, I'll say it's crazy every year how they like go out and then they're like, hey, we found, 400 new species this year of stuff that had never been seen before. I'm like, where were they like hiding before? Because you've done this every other year.
And then they're also like, we also lost 400 species this year.
Yeah.
So I guess it's good we're finding more.
Exactly.
Make up for that. And it's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I did get a review for this.
Oh, yeah. This is a segment of the podcast where we say we're going to take it to the streets.
All right. So they said, Rogue, did what I expect of this brewery to do. Change up the process. How many beers can you smell a pine forest in, right? Great job, guys. But they ended with a period. And like, it seems very like they're unamused with all of it. But then they gave it a 5-star rating. So like, I don't know what they like meant.
Yeah, I'm kind of imagining them reading it in the voice of Tina from Bob's Burgers.
Yes.
Fine for us. Good job, guys.
Yeah. It's like very underwhelming, but they gave it a perfect score. So I was like, I don't know what they want.
It was meh, 5 stars.
Yeah.
Did you see this one review where the reviewers gave it 5 stars? Also, they said we aren't wine or beer experts.
Yes.
But this review counts as 2 because we are 2 people.
Yes, I did see that one.
Make sure the people know.
And they said 29 female, they had very specific, said taste chocolate. Chocolate?
What?
Chocolate.
Chocolate.
They said it's very heavy on the chocolate. It's chocolate forward and chocolate afterward. What?
Yeah, I didn't get that at all.
She had a different beer. That was the
That
thing.
was a different beer, yeah.
Oh, well, but they also matched with a Burger King Whopper. You can't go wrong.
I did see that.
What?
Oh man, that is hilarious.
Okay,
I remember
do think
reading
that
that
a Burger
review.
King Whopper would have. I mean, it would definitely change the experience.
I think it would have paired well.
That was a good one. That was great.
That's hilarious. I did see that one earlier, actually.
We have some people calling them out for being a shitty company and shitty owners per past threads.
Yes.
Because you need to make sure that you get all of your information on Reddit. That's where how you know it's true.
Well, people can't lie on there. That's kind of the thing.
Oh, that's right. Do you have any other good reviews? I love these. I love it when you guys do the reviews. You do the weird ones.
That was the only one I like. I mean, like, I'm trying to think of where I saw some of the others. I will say a ton of them talked about how it tastes like they tasted pine from it. Like a lot of them mentioned pine. I was like, I didn't get that at all.
To be fair, maybe I guess I don't really know what pine tastes like.
Yeah, I guess I don't know, but I just imagine the smell.
The biggest issue. Yeah, I say I don't get it from the smell at all.
No, I don't get any pine on this at all.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I don't know what they're talking about. Here's one that I really loved. Imagine the cryptid, Batsquatch, deep in the forests of the Appalachian. Wait, hold on. Is it, if you say Appalachia, we'll throw in Appalachia, so it's Appalachian?
Yeah, I think it is Appalachian.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
We're not
Batsquatch.
from there.
Yeah.
Remember, you're in that part of the country where it's all one place in my mind. Batsquatch, deep in the forests of the Appalachian Mountains. He's trying to homebrew some mountain ale for his cryptid buddies coming over for some holiday the hairless meat sacks celebrate every year. The only thing he has to flavor the brew are the supple ferns of the pine trees surrounding him, a pot, and some hot ashes left at an abandoned campsite. If you can imagine all that, then you can guess what this tastes like. 1 star.
Jeez.
I was like, I love reading 1-star reviews.
Absolutely. I don't know if you guys have gotten any 1-star reviews on your podcast. We have, but they did not leave a comment.
Yes. That's
which I want to read why you don't like me, please, because maybe I was an asshole that day when you were listening, or maybe you're an asshole and just disagree with me.
Yeah.
Yes. Or maybe you just accidentally hit the button and didn't mean to leave a review at all. No.
We do have some listeners that are over the age of 65, so that's very possible.
Yeah. It was just sitting in their pocket. They had no idea.
I'm going to give them a star. They did a good job.
They earned a star.
1 gold star for you. Good job.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I would say this isn't the best hazy I've ever had. It's definitely not a kind of really New England style hazy. It's a little, I would say, this is my second can. I had one earlier today when I was writing this, just so I could kind of get in the spirit. It's a little cloying, especially once it warms up, I think. I don't know if you guys get that too, a little too sticky sweet.
I'm not going to lie. You already definitely know way more about beer than we do.
That's very true.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I listen to my husband talk about stuff and I'm like, I don't know, because he's all talking about different phenols, give the Band-Aid flavor and whatever. And then he talks about his water chemistry. He's got a whole book on water chemistry and he gets the report from the water company.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I'm like, all right. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Tastes good.
Yeah, that's about where we are.
Yeah.
I would say we started off doing very beer focused stuff and we quickly realized 3 episodes in, we're like, we don't know enough.
We
to
don't
keep
have
going.
the legs to keep it going on that.
We got to start talking about other stuff.
Well, yeah, especially because there's serious beer podcasts out there that they're
yeah, we're not that at all.
Right. I like the direction you guys went where you're we'll start with a beer and we'll go over here.
Yeah.
That's the point.
That's a good tagline.
That might be
Do you
the
wanna stay
tagline.
with-
Dude,
You wanna
yes,
steal
that's
that?
good.
We
You start with a beer.
start with a
and then
beer
over
and then we
here.
go over there.
Yeah, that's good.
That is pretty good.
Take it. It's yours.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Where can people find you, like on social or where your show?
Yeah, well, I mean, the best place to go is our website, rainydayrabbitholes.com. So we have links to all the different platforms that you can listen on. We're on any podcast platform, even some of the weird ones. So if you have a favorite podcast platform, just look for Rainy Day Rabbit Holes. We are the only one. Look for a little champagne drinking Sasquatch. And then, yeah, we're on everything except for X, Twitter, whatever garbage that is. We're on everything. Just you can look up Rainy Day Rabbit Holes podcast, depending on where. And then we're also on Radio Tacoma, which if you're not in Tacoma, you can listen to at radiotacoma.org. If you for some reason don't listen to podcasts on podcast platforms, you can listen to the radio on the internet.
What a backwards way.
Yeah, it's nice. They're a cute little community, little low power nonprofit radio, and we really appreciate them having us on there. We have a umbrella podcast collective, and this is a group of entertaining podcasts that we get together for just collaboration and helping each other out and friendship. And in fact, tomorrow a group of us are going to Crypticon, which is kind of perfect.
Oh, nice.
It's the horror movie convention here in Seattle. And 3 of our podcasts and my brother are actually going to be doing the nerdiest thing I have ever done in my life soon. We are going to be playing the Alien RPG and doing a podcast while we do it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice. Yeah.
So I've never played an RPG, but I'm a huge fan of the Alien franchise. And there is a new series coming out this summer. I don't know if you guys have seen those trailers, Alien Earth.
No,
Yes,
I haven't. No.
Yeah, so very excited. So we're going to be doing that. So yeah, you can find out more about the collective on the website, rainydayrabbitholes.com/umbrella. If we are probably going to start actively trying to get more members in this year. So, or you can just check out the podcasts that are on there. There's something for everybody. And yeah, so rainydayrabbitholes.com.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
And until next time, whether you pour short
Or pour long.
Always finish.
Yeah, all right.
all
How
right.
did I make it sound sexual?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want me to do another one of that where it doesn't sound sexual?
No, I think that's a good ending. All right, we go.
It's a happy ending for sure.
yeah.
Right, yeah.